today we got to play Embarcadero. So this is, it's actually a 3D game, so you can get build it. That's a lot of fun. All right, but before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Randy, can you tell us a little bit more? We know it's by Renegade Games.
Yes.
What else you got for us?
It's a 2021 release. Board Game Geek rating is 7.3, and currently the Board Game Geek rank is 39.91. 1 to 4 players out of the box, although the unsinkable expansion for it actually adds a 5th player to it, which seems like it would be total chaos.
I know. I want to play it with 5 players.
And it adds some little mini expansions. The design was by Adam Buckingham and Ed Marriott. Art by Janos Orban. Published, as you mentioned, by Renegade Game Studios. The original Kickstarter for this, which included both the base game and the expansion, was $60, which actually is not a bad price. And then
That's
now...
not what I paid for it.
Yeah, that is scary. Now you can get it on Amazon, just the base game, for $64.50. The link on the Kickstarter says late pledges, but if you click on it, it'll tell you they're not accepting late pledges, so you can't get it through the Kickstarter. I didn't check Renegade's site to see if you could order direct there. eBay has the base game for $41.52 new and $38 used, I found. So you can still find it out there, but it's hard to find this game.
Yeah, for me, it was actually harder to find the expansions to it versus just
the expansion, but yeah.
Well, but yeah, that's because I found a few copies of this, but it was hard to get both, and I got pretty lucky, so that was good.
Okay, well, I don't even want to know what you paid for it, so just glad to have it in the collection.
All right, so let's talk about the actual components. So this one's pretty interesting because your tiles are basically Legoed kind of in a way, so you can end up stacking your structures on it that ends up building your base for your next layer.
I've never seen anything like it. It was already...
I mean, it's essentially Legos, but like flat cardboard, and I thought that was actually really interesting. And it worked really, really well. You didn't have that much.
The manufacturing of it must have been difficult because to get those to be perfectly centered the way they did. And there weren't any defects that I saw in any of the tiles.
No, they were all fine. I mean, they were all good.
They were all on a punch strip, like a normal game would be. And they were actually falling out of them. They had enough weight that when I picked up the thing, they were just kind of plopping out. So I didn't have to do a whole lot of punching.
Yeah, so I think as far as that's concerned, I think they did a great job.
Yeah.
And then the card quality, there is not a linen finish, but the thickness is pretty good, so that's fine. And then you do have like these plastic structure pieces, which again, you see the pictures of the house, like they've got the doors, they've got the windows, so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
So that seems to be pretty good.
It's just kind of weird because they look like shipping containers on a boat, which makes sense. But then they're actually houses that you're building on a boat.
I think it's a boat city. I mean, and this must be kind of like the thematics, but before we get into thematics, let's give this a score as far as quality of components. I'm thinking a 7.5. I like the plastic cubes. I like what they did with the cardboard, but you don't got a lot of linen finishes and things like that. So that's where I'm at. What about you?
Well, I think they did a nice job. Like with the score markers are actually all custom wooden tools, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, those are nice.
I said it was a screwdriver, but I think it's a chisel.
Yeah.
But either way, it didn't stand up real well. But the other ones all seemed to stand. It looked like they would stand, the ones we didn't play with. So I thought that was neat. I'm going to go and give it an 8 just because I think they tried to go above and beyond with the tiles. That's a really custom
this is amazing.
And given the fact that not too many, we didn't have too many accidents, even with my klutzy hands trying to put.
Because you were klutzy, you were the one that was destroying buildings.
Yeah, dexterity games are not my thing. If I have to stack things, Jenga, I'm awful at. Yeah, I will lose in the first round on Jenga probably.
Okay. So let's move on to the theme. So obviously the theme is you're somehow attaching these boats to the wharf and you're slowly building a city on these boats. And this must be part of maybe where the name comes from. That must be a city.
Well, it's a port city, but it built from a shipping but it doesn't make sense that you're building the buildings on the boat. I mean, if you look at the pictures,
well, I mean,
the buildings are on the port, on the outside of the boat.
But no, but on ships. They're on the ships. That's a ship. That's a ship. That's a ship.
Yeah, but they're on, that's the coast, and they're putting the buildings on the coast. And
I feel like they're a bunch of houseboats. As I'm seeing a bunch of houseboats.
Those boats are going to sink. That's why they have the sunk on there, because the boats are going to sink if you stack 4 high buildings on top of a boat.
Right, it goes down to the bottom, and then it becomes your base. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I thought it was great. I thought it was interesting. Thematically, though, the building is really super cool.
It definitely gets your eye.
Yeah, it definitely gets your eye, and I think it's super cool that you're building this, and you're putting boats, and your boats can actually, the tile doesn't have to be on this, or the building doesn't have to be on the same boat. For example, I have 2 4s that I end up putting a 6 building on, right? So that was actually really interesting and cool for me. So thematically, I think they did a great job with the art, because they looked like boats and buildings and things like that. I like the color palette and everything involved. I think I'm going to give this an 8 on theme. I think, a lot of it works with what you're doing. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, it blows my mind you would be building 4 high buildings on top of a boat. But if you get past the suspension of disbelief of that...
I'm going to actually end up looking up this name to see if there is a city that was built this way.
So I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 because it does catch your eye. I think it has beautiful art. The pictures of the boats, the fact that they made them different sizes to go along with the size of the boats coming in, the different buildings. Granted, there are repeats throughout, but, it's still pretty art. And, the individual players, which I got to play Ghirardelli Chocolatier, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to play Jenny Carter, a journalist.
Yes.
So
they have the different characters you can be. I think they did do a good job of incorporating the history and the art of whatever this... I'm
looking it up afterwards.
Maybe they're casino boats.
Okay,
you did get some pretty gaudy casino boats.
They're cruise ships.
Uh-huh.
All right, so now let's talk about the rulebook, Randy. So I know when you were kind of just talking through it, which I sort of listened, then I fell asleep. But you mentioned that there was a lot of little rules.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Well, I don't think there was a lot of them. It's just that you had to remember a lot of little things that were not on cheat sheets. Like the fact that you add $1, you gain $1 for this, or you pay $1 for that. Those kinds of things. There's no cheat sheet for it. The cheat sheet is on the board as far as the actions that you take, and that was very helpful.
That was very helpful.
But the iconography is all on the back of the rule book, and there's not a cheat card for that. So you're going to have to pass this around a lot until you get the iconography.
Or just ask you like 10 times what something
means. Yeah, I mean, you can do that, but the problem is you're revealing what's in your hand anytime you do that kind of thing. So,
yeah, that's true.
It'd be nice to have this for every player, but we see this a lot where it's on the back of the book and it works. So, I don't think it was a bad book. It's 22 pages long, and the last, from page 16 back, it's the solo explain, how to play the solo game, and then, some credits and such. But yeah, it's not a hard read. There's a lot of empty space on the pages. The good sized text, easy to read from that standpoint, which we've been getting a lot of small print ones. This one's actually a good size print. The examples were helpful when you're going through and reading.
So what would you score it?
I'll probably give it a 7.5. I think it does a pretty good job. I just think it would have been nice to have all that stuff that you need to reference during the game somewhere where you could grab it without having to sift through the book to make sure. Because we had to check, do you gain $1 for this? Do you lose $1? Especially with the piers or harbors, whatever you want to call them.
So, all right, now let's talk about the actual gameplay. So the gameplay starts that you end up with 8 cards and you choose down to 5. Now, throughout the game, you're basically every time you do an action, you're going to play a card or get rid of a card and get the scrapping action, right? And then you're going to end up buying a new card. Now, if you can't afford to buy a new card, you actually end up going to take negative victory points for the card that you do end up choosing. But these cards, you're basically planning your next round while you're doing while you're doing your current round. And so we'll do an example. So give me two of those. All right, so basically there's a couple of actions I can do. So the first thing I can do is dock a ship. So this ship looks really awesome because it gives me an income and I'm a poor person. All right, that's the way you feel this whole entire game, so you feel very poor. All right, so I'm going to do this. So this is a 3-level boat, so I'm going to find a 3 boat. Oh, look at this, beautiful. All right, and then I'm going to place only one of my cubes on it. Okay, and then I'm going to place it. Now, if I were to place it near a harbor, every place that my boat touches, I'm going to have to pay a coin for that. So this would be 3 coins. I'm too broke for that mess. So I'm only going to move it. I'm going to move it this way, which allows me to only have to pay 1. Now, I don't necessarily have to connect to the harbor. I can just connect to another boat, but there is a reason why you want to be connected to the harbor. So being connected to the harbor allows you to gain influence on that harbor, and the person with the most influence gets victory points. The second gets half of those victory points, and those victory points are based on how long this harbor is. My character allowed to add a token to the harbor every time I docked a ship at a harbor, so that was really, really nice. You get a coin for doing that. But then the other piece of it is I'm placing it next to another ship and another structure, and that structure
matters.
Yes, the structure is my opponent. So what happens is then I'm going to move up on the track
for the city council,
and that's going to trigger the red card. You can hand me the red card now. Thanks, appreciate you. All right, so this card is available to anybody whatsoever. Now, you can play this card as soon as you get the actions. I only have 2 wood, so I'm not going to be able to build this. All right, so that is now out, just like this other one.
And that's a free action to build one of those, as long as you have space to build it, as I found out the hard way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are available for anyone to grab, and it's free action on your turn.
Yep. Okay, so then now I have to buy a card. I'm going to pretend I have money. So I'm going to look and I'm going to be like, well, you know what? I kind of need a boat. So I'm going to end up spending 3 money for this, and I'm going to put this in my hand. All right, so I'm going to take that card. Now, here's the thing though. Now I have 5 cards in my hand, but I'm going to have to choose one of them that I'm going to save for the next round, okay? So I know that it is not likely for me to build this one here, or I want to get it at a higher level, so I'm going to wait to build this apartment complex, okay? So then I'm going to put it underneath, okay? So that's essentially my turn, then it goes to the next player. Now, we talked about docking a ship. The other thing you can do is construct a building, okay? So the cost of the building is over here in this corner. I need 1 wood. Now, I have wood on my ships. That's where you're going to get your production, or your buildings will also give you production. And basically, once you have something, you have it. You don't necessarily have to get it. What was the game you referenced?
It's like 7 Wonders. Once you've acquired a resource, you can use it to pay the costs of future resources. If it's on a card, you don't have to spend it. There are tokens for some of the more advanced technology resources that you do spend. These are one-time use tokens, but if it's on a card, it's an ongoing resource.
Okay. All right. So this one, I only need 1 wood, and I have that. Okay. And it takes 2. It just needs a 2 spot. So I have 2 here. Okay. And then, so I'm going to be able to play this. Now, when I play it, I'm going to get 1 victory point. And then based on the level, I will get additional points. Now, this is a 2 level. So I want to build somewhere that has 2. I think there's one right here. You can only build on top of yourself, which I thought was actually kind of a disappointment. I think it would be awesome just to be able to build wherever you want.
I think it would be total chaos.
I think it would be a blast. Like, you set yourself up for something and then it's completely gone. But I understand why, because then people wouldn't put the cubes out. But then if you're placing cubes next to other cubes, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. Yeah. The end. Okay, so that's the player thing. So then I get the victory point. It was on the 2nd level, so I get 5 victory points total. So I'd move up on the track. I don't want to make Randy feel any worse. So then I played a card. Then I'm gonna have to buy another card. All right, I'm gonna take this card. I'm gonna lose a victory point because I don't have any money because I'd be broke. All right.
And you don't have to, like, she built a building this time. You don't have to take a building to replace a building. You can choose from the 4 of the ships or the 4 of the buildings. Actually, you played that wrong, though. If you don't have money and you move back on victory points, you can't choose one that's face up. You have to take the one from the top of the pile.
Oh, okay.
And you pay whatever the cost is for it.
Yeah. All right. So then I place that one, and so now it's my next turn. Now I'm broke. I am more than a little broke. And so I'm going to end up discarding this card. Now this card gives me 3 cubes to place. So this is what we call scrapping a card, right? I'm not going to put it in play, but I am going to use it. Okay. So it gives me 3 of these, and then I get to pick my card for free next time because I'm broke. All right, so then I'm going to take these 3. Now, I can only put them on places that I already have established. All right, so I'm going to place up here because I want to finally get to the 4th level because that would be super cool. Ooh, ah! It fell. Not gracefully. All right, and then I'm going to place here. That way I can build something there, too. All right, so... all right, and then I scrapped, and I just picked my card for free.
Scrapping lets you either use the one action that's on the card, or there's also an option of taking 3 money or 2 of the buildings. Those are always available. And then no matter which way you go, you have the option of wiping one of the 4 sets of cards for either buildings or ships and replacing them.
I wish I would have known that because I only did what was the scrap thing. I remember you telling me that now. All right, so I'm going to take this. This is a nice scribe building. And again, I'm going to look at my cards. I'm going to place one. This one's too expensive for me to play right now, so I'll do that one. And that leaves me 2 cards. So you can keep doing this until you run out of your 5 cards. And you have 5 cards in here. And then you're going to trigger a scoring mechanism. So that scoring mechanism, depending on the round, is what you score. Now, overall, you do this for 3 rounds. And then after that, the game is done. I really like this game.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I like the building. I like the resource gathering and yet trying to maintain everything. I really wish I knew what one icon was and that I didn't realize until in the middle of the game because that would have got me a lot more income. So there's some things that you learn. But overall, I had a blast. This was fun.
I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't really know what to think of this. I do think I don't think it's geared well for 2 players because especially there's 2 different ways of scoring that alternate for the different rounds. And then, the first round, second round, and then the third round, you score both. One is for the piers, whoever's the closest to the pier and has the most of their structures, which are these cube-like things. The other one is for this city council track. Well, the city council track doesn't score nearly as well in the 2-player game as building next to the piers. So, because normally the city council, you get 3 points for every other player who's behind you on the track. But first of all, usually you're going to stay fairly close on the track. But secondly, you score 3 different piers, and they start out at 7 points each. So if you got the max on the piers, which Miranda did the entire game.
No, the first round you won 2 of them.
Okay. Most of the time you had them. And you got 21 points potential, not to mention you can expand them and make them worth more.
That was because of my special ability, and that was what my focus was for my players. So
I'm just saying there's more scoring potential for that than there is getting 3 points per player, especially in a 2-player game.
Right, but my end-of-game victory points, the max I could get was 6, where you could get infinite as far as you just needed green cards to play.
But I only got 1 per, and you know the odds of you getting those green icons, that many of them, there just wasn't a lot of scoring potential there either. So I think there's more bang for your buck trying to get next to those piers than there is going up this
right, but it costs money, right? So you didn't do that, and you weren't on tight as money as I was.
Yeah.
So I was like, whew, it was rough, guys.
Yeah. But we both had to go back on the chart once in the game.
I went more than once.
Okay, well, either way.
It worked out for me.
Handily, yes.
But overall, I actually really, really enjoyed it. I would love to see this at a 3 or 4 count.
I think it'd be much better with more players.
I think the chaos would be wonderful and a lot of fun. Because part of me would be like, man, it would be great if you could just build over other people's stuff. Like, oh, you created a section. Thanks, I appreciate you.
You can still block them. I mean, you can get in their way. to stop them.
Right,
from
like
building.
if you need a six place together, it's really hard to do it if you had more players.
Yeah.
Because you guys are fighting over it, right? So I'm not saying it wouldn't be difficult. I'm just saying, but I had a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, but I can see it getting even more fun with more players. Yeah. I like this game a lot. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. What's your score?
You know, I think at 2 players, I'm going to go 7.5. I think once you get more players, just from the expectation of what I've seen from the 2 player, I'm going to give it an 8.
So I'm higher than you. I think 8 for a 2 player, but I have a feeling this could get to the 9 realm at more players. I really do. I love this game. Mm-hmm. This was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed it.
That's because you stomped me in it. That's why you enjoyed it.
Listen, I've been stomping you all day, except for that last Agricola game.
Yeah, I've been on a bad streak lately.
I know, but you did have a month streak, so it's just making it up for it.
But guys, if you're familiar with Lords of Waterdeep, this has nothing to do with this review.
Oh, whatever.
We're playing on the app. 2 games in a row, she got Open Lord.
Oh, wow.
This time she got Open Lord and the one that gives you bonus resources for the quest, using your own buildings.
The quest.
So there's no doubt she's going to win. No doubt. So we had a heated discussion on the topic.
Just forfeit if you're not going to play.
No.
Anyway, all right, guys. Well, we had a blast, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.